Hello, I'm Mario Anderson and welcome to In Focus Kentucky, where we take a look at different issues that impact you here in the Bluegrass State, and we'll talk with the lawmakers, community organizers, and people like you who help shape those policies. Today we are broadcasting from Churchill Downs in Louisville, getting you ready for the Kentucky Oaks and Kentucky Derby and talking about the economic impact of horse racing in the state of Kentucky. Since its first running in 1875, the Kentucky Derby has attracted people from all over the world to Louisville. Many embark on our state just to be a part of one of America's most treasured events. Economically, Derby Week is invaluable for Kentucky. Reuters estimates that Derby brings in $400 million to the region and that the equine industry as a whole has a $4 billion impact while creating over 55,000 jobs. Today, we'll preview the week by speaking with those in charge of important events around the city of Louisville. Joining me now is Kristen Branscombe, the Commissioner of the Kentucky Department of Tourism. Thanks so much for joining us here on In Focus Kentucky from Churchill Downs.
What a better place to be. I mean, in Kentucky on Derby Week, every Kentuckian wants to be here and everybody else in the world wants to be here too.
You got that right. Now talk to us about tourism here in Kentucky. How does that impact the state's economy?
You know, I think a lot of people don't realize Kentucky is tourism is the third largest revenue generating industry in Kentucky, $14.5 billion economic impact and about $1.52 billion generated in taxes. So tourism is a vital part of our whole entire economy in the state, you know, outside of Louisville as well, from east to west, north to south.
And talk about too with the employment aspect of the tourism. How does that affect that here in our state?
You know, we have close to 200,000 people that are supported by the tourism industry in some way or another. You know, there are certainly those entry-level jobs in the tourism industry, but, you know, tourism is a great entry point for people that want to build a career. A lot of folks start off maybe as valet parkers or bellhops, and they end up being a general manager at a hotel, you know, within a couple of years. So tourism's great for our state, especially, you know, our lakes. A lot of people, marinas, you know, houseboats, people that want to start a kayak business. So lots of opportunity in Kentucky for employment and jobs.
And talk about how marketing plays into this with obviously we're counting down to the Kentucky Oaks and Kentucky Derby here in our state. How does marketing play into this whole tourism aspect?
You know, that's the greatest thing about my job is I get to sell Kentucky. I sell Kentucky to Kentuckians, to people in the U.S. and around the world. And we like to focus on, I'm just convinced that there's nowhere else you need to go to travel except for Kentucky. We have, you know, mountains in the east, we have flatlands and the rivers in the west, we have the urban areas in Lexington and Louisville, southern lakes and shorelines. I mean, we have everything. So we market that Kentucky is that destination. We're an easy drive. We've got great airlift into the state. So really, there's no place you need to be except for Kentucky.
Now, for people who may be on the fence of trying to determine whether to experience Churchill Downs for the first time, what advice would you say to maybe have them make a trip down to Louisville to see the races?
I think the Kentucky Derby is certainly a bucket list item, and everybody needs to experience in one way or another. I like to tell everybody it is a marathon, not a sprint. And so to really take it in, enjoy every single bit of it, but plan ahead. And really be sure you know where you're going to park, know your hat, know your tie, know your jacket, get those things, but just really take it all in. Come early, go to Oaks. You know, the Derby experience, of course, goes 2 weeks before Derby. We start really celebrating. But Derby week, there's something every single day, and probably every hour for people to do. And so I think, you know, just take the whole weekend and do it all.
Now, does your office actually do any planning for the festivities that go into helping plan or just be a part of the Kentucky Oaks and Kentucky Derby here in Louisville?
You know, we are involved with several of the events around Derby, and the great thing about Derby is we do a lot of hosting. We host guests from around the world to give them that Kentucky experience, whether it's travel writers or tour operators from other countries, production folks that are looking to film, or business people that are wanting to make investments in Kentucky. And it's a great invitation, and it opens a lot of doors that normally you just can't get into by saying, hey, do you want to come to Derby with us?
Right, absolutely. Now, for people that want more information about your department, how do they reach out and find out more information?
Certainly KentuckyTourism.com, and then we're everywhere on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. So I really love the Instagram because Kentucky's just absolutely gorgeous. So that's the way to find us.
And that sounds great. And Commissioner, we appreciate you once again for making time to join us here on In Focus Kentucky.
All right, thanks so much for having me.
You bet. While the Kentucky Derby is the main attraction here at Churchill Downs, there are many other big signature events that take place here at the venue. Now, we talk with Darren Rogers from Churchill Downs to walk us through all the final touches leading up to this week's big event.
We underwent a major construction project to improve the ingress and egress on Oaks and Derby Day. Spent about north of $30 million on the parking and transportation center. We also have some new starting gate suites. So putting the finishing touches. We've got about 11,000 vendors that'll be working on Oaks and Derby Day. So we're getting ready to host 170,000 people on that big day, and should be great.
Darren Rogers says the much-needed facility upgrades will enhance the overall experience for all racegoers, no matter if you're returning back to the track or a first-time visitor.
We have a little something for everybody. Whether or not you want to hang out in the paddock, Oaks and Derby Day, you want to hang out in the infield, if you've got box seats. The Derby and Oaks, those are the only two major championship events that you can actually walk up on the day of the event and buy a general admission ticket. Log on to KentuckyDerbyParking.com. KentuckyDerbyParking.com will tell you, where to park, what day, whether or not you have a pass. There's all kinds of maps, a very easy to navigate website that'll answer most questions about those people coming out here to Churchill Downs on a specific day.
Coming up, we'll speak with the president of the Kentucky Derby Festival about the month-long celebration that happens here in the city of Louisville. Stick with us. You're watching In Focus Kentucky.